Let's start with the headline of the week, the biggest upset of the tournament so far. Iraq defeats Japan 2-1, brother, in an absolutely packed Education City Stadium in Al Rayyan. Iraq makes history, bro. History. And Iraq pulled a Japan on Japan.
Dude, I honestly couldn't believe it. Once the final whistle blew, 2-1, Iraq holding that 2-0 lead for the entire match. See, be honest with me. Did you really give Iraq a chance going into this game? Like, no. A true chance?
A true chance of winning, no. Of making it really tight, of making it competitive, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. And I think my overall conclusion here is I completely underestimated this Iraqi side going into this tournament because not only did they beat Japan, who were the hottest team in all of world football, it wasn't accidental. What a masterclass in sitting back strategically, absorbing pressure, and then hitting out on the counterattack. That's what Iraq pulled off against this Japanese side. Every single player showed out. The commitment from the defense all the way to Ayman Hussein up front. Everyone had an exact role to play for this Iraqi side, and they all played it to near perfection. It was a near perfect game for Iraq, and dude, Japan had no answers.
Yes, and I want to hold off on the Japan talk because I do want to make this about Iraq first. They deserve the credit here, and if you would actually excuse me, I'd like to ask you to do a favor for me here. I'm going to go through the entire starting 11. After I say every name, I would like for you to salute. Give me a salute, all right? We're going to go down this entire starting 11 because the effort, the work these guys put in was absolutely mesmerizing, providing us with the blueprint on how to defeat this truly informed Japanese side. So to start, all the way at back, Jalal Hassan.
I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold this.
Hussein Ali, Saad Naji, Rebin Sulaka, Ahmed Yahya, what a game. Franz Putros,
Alamari, baby.
Yusuf Ayman, Ibrahim Bayesh, Ali Jassim, and lastly, Ayman Hussein, bro, with an absolute brace in this game. Take a bow, boys. Take a bow. An incredible performance.
Incredible performance. Specifically, I want to highlight both Al-Amari and Ayman Yusuf, who were, when they needed to be, box to box, and then otherwise just so stout defensively in that midfield. They never let a Japanese player breathe even for a split second. And you could basically say that about the entire defensive setup for Iraq, dude, because for as much of the ball that Japan had, and dude, they probably had it for like 70, 75 minutes of this match, they did not look comfortable for a single second of that possession, and it was all down to that Iraqi defense who never let them have it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Iraq was suffocating Japan every single time there was a Japanese player on the ball. He couldn't be on it for more than 2 seconds, bro. No space to be comfortable, no space to get some dribbles in, and that's so important, so key to this Japanese offense, and they completely shut it out. For me, the key representative of that approach to the game was Ahmed Yahya. I thought this guy had an incredible game, defending his flank and not letting a single Japanese winger get by him. It was ridiculous, the performance I saw from him. And overall, as a team, the blueprint for how to defeat this Japanese side, I thought it was mesmerizing. It was beautiful. But you mentioned earlier about how we underestimated Iraq in our AFC Asian Cup preview, and I completely agree, bro, because when I thought about this Iraqi team, I thought that their absolute peak would be as a dark horse contender, as a team that could maybe go on a special Cinderella-like run, really pull off these incredible upsets, but, you know, eventually flame out in like the quarterfinals or semifinals. But after this game, I think they've entered a new zone of actual title contender. Iraq is an actual contender now, bro. And that's crazy to say given how we thought they were going to compete in this tournament.
I completely agree. That's what I got out of this game is if they can beat Japan, they play this exact same way against anybody else in this tournament, they can win, which means we could see Iraq make a deep run semifinals or finals appearance. And once they're there, who knows what can happen. But I'm getting huge shades of Morocco 2022 in this Iraqi side, because this Iraqi side does focus on the aggressive side of football, the physical side, and then they pair it on the offense with some sheer pace at times, and then you still have the big man in Ayman Hussein who can get on the end of these crosses on these counters. So when you put it all together, this Iraqi team is well disciplined and honestly very organized in how they approach every game. Jesus Casas, I do think, has a lot of credit to be given here because going into this tournament, I knew Iraq had a lot of talent. I was just questioning whether they could manage a game against the Big Five over the course of 90 minutes. This proved it. But I do think the pairing of this Iraq talent and Spanish coach Jesus Casas is the best pairing that I've seen for Iraq.
Match made in heaven?
It's a match made in heaven, man, because I think he has the tactics sound right. Dude, he made 5 changes to face Japan. 5. But it ended up working perfectly. He took off Mohamed Ali and went with a more physical midfield, and it worked beautifully because that's exactly what they needed to do. Put bodies on Japan, make them struggle in possession, and then when you get those slim opportunities, just go and get the ball to Ayman Hussein. And they did that literally twice, and they scored each time. Iraq was nothing but efficient when they went forward.
Efficient, and the way they executed his plan, dude. I just can't imagine how proud he must have been of his team. And you're right, dude. I really like to credit coaches that are willing to adapt game to game in a tournament like this, because we're seeing a whole performance of lackluster coaching decisions across this whole tournament. Jesus Casas is one of the positives, though. For example, I thought taking off Zidane Iqbal, who was really good against Indonesia, and this wonder kid for Iraq, taking him off and not playing him in this game because they just didn't see his strength suiting what he was trying to achieve in this match, and it ended up paying off completely. No one questions a decision after a result like this.
Yeah.
So props to him for doing what he did, and props to the team for being able to execute his plan to an absolute T.
Yeah, and on that first goal, though, and I kind of mentioned the first game, Suzuki made an error. What do you think about that first goal where he kind of palms it cheaply and it goes straight to Ayman Hussein ultimately? I'm putting a little bit of blame on Suzuki here just because he looked hesitant when he went for the ball. And when he ultimately did get contact on it, it was just kind of weak. It was a weak palm and straight to the middle. And I don't know. I feel like I'm being a little bit critical. I hate being critical on keepers, but since he made the mistake in the first game, I'm not saying this was a mistake. I just don't think it's promising if you're trying to be a top team like Japan is trying to be.
Hey, Reynoso sounds a little Japanese, bro. I'd be happy to jump in goal for them, bro, because after this game, that was my takeaway too. Suzuki is not the guy for them.
I don't know, man.
Not the guy
for
them.
So.
These mistakes he's making in the past 2 matches, that can't be what's your last saving grace for Japan when you have so much up front, so much in the midfield and defense. To have him defending your goal, I don't think he's the guy to do it. At least not right now. Switch him out. I don't know who they have in terms of their depth chart. Do you know any other Japanese goalkeepers that they could maybe go with?
No, that's the thing is, right, obviously their go-to guy's now retired just after the last World Cup. He's done. So now the number 1 spot is wide open. Zion Suzuki was the next guy up because he's really young and he's playing in Belgium, so he's kind of on the rise as far as young keepers are concerned in Japan. But I mean, at this point, I wonder if Moriyasu's gonna consider doing a goalkeeper change mid-tourney.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
It'd be harsh, but I think it might be necessary, man, because like I said, he just looks hesitant. Even if he does get the save or he does get contact on the ball, it just doesn't look confident for me. And if I'm a defender and I look back and I see a hesitant goalkeeper, that's the worst thing you could ask for.
Yeah, I thought that first goal was on him. Yeah, because the way he punched the ball out, I thought was a little weak. And it happened in that first game too. He made a save that just fell straight into the opposing team's offensive player. I don't think Suzuki is that guy. But looking at this team more broadly, my biggest question after this match is, Iraq played a phenomenal game, and they're proving to be a really good opponent. And I think going into this match that Japan underestimated Iraq because the way they played, they were very lackluster, they were lazy on the ball, and they really didn't turn it up until those final 30 minutes to tap into the Japanese team that we've seen for the past 2 years. So my biggest question is this actually a concerning loss for Japan? Or is it just like how Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in the tournament of the World Cup and then went on to win the whole thing? Is this just a thing that happens every now and then to potential champions, and it's just a bump in the road to what ultimately will be them lifting the trophy?
I'm a little concerned, especially concerned for this tournament when it comes to if Japan can lift the trophy or not. I thought their game against Vietnam wasn't great. But what got them over the hill was just their sheer raw talent. And it really showed out in that second half when they, just went off 4-2. But in this game, I thought it was honestly the same performance against Vietnam. It was slow, a little uninspired. I said in that first game against Vietnam, they looked like a little unmotivated. And in this game, all credit to Iraq because I think they forced it. But for some reason, Japan looked tired. Like they couldn't battle against Iraq. They were losing all the 50-50s. And when they did get isolation on the wings, as you already pointed out, Iraq won those battles on the flanks every single time. This was the worst Japanese performance I've seen in a couple years. And, more specifically, man, not a single player tried to take it into their own hands and amp up the energy for Japan. Junya Ito, I've always praised him for being a ISO guy that doesn't need help. He can create plays simply on his own with the ball at his feet. This was the worst game I've seen Junya Ito play since he's started playing for the Japanese national team. Bro, he didn't do anything. And every time he got on the ball, he got beat. Every single time. He's always been able to get past defenders at least one time, put in a really good cross or, dance on the sides and cut inside and penetrate in the box. Dude, he did not have one moment in this game, not a single moment, and then he ended up getting subbed off in the second half. This was the worst game I've seen from Junya Ito, and low-key, probably the worst game that I've seen this collective Japanese team all together in a long time.
Yeah, Dake Fusakuba apparently played for like 60 minutes in this game. Apparently. Mitoma didn't follow up on his incredible performance in that first game. Gone, non-existent. Endo not seen as well. No. This was crazy, bro. It was crazy from all players in this team. I agree. Very shaky performance. I'm going to take a step back, though. I'm actually going to go, I'm not concerned. I'm going to go, I'm not concerned.
You're not even a little concerned.
I'm not concerned. No, I'm sticking. I'm not going to be concerned about this one. I'm going to hold off on that. I think in recent memory, just the Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Spain losing in 2010 World Cup, I think when you're a team of this caliber, sometimes this happens. You go in a little too cocky, a little too overconfident. And they still were one goal away at the end of the day from tying the match up. Yeah. If they had just turned it up in those first 45 minutes and play like the same Japan that we know, maybe this would have been a different game. I'm not going to be too harsh on them on this one. I'm going to give them a pass.
I'm hoping they turn it up because this nation needs to make a deep run. That was my whole point in the preview. I won't repeat it here. But here's where it gets scary, though. Since Iraq did the job, and if they can just finish it off, they'll finish top of the group, right? Japan finished second, and Korea finished first in their group. They would potentially face each other in the quarters.
Round of 6. I thought it was round of 16.
It might be round of 16. Yeah. It might be round of 16, or I don't know, win. But either way, early.
Their path gets so incredibly hard. Incredibly hard.
Incredibly difficult. Not just for them, but also for their opponents, too. Like, it's just not good that Japan lost this game. And that's why I'm concerned, because they knew that. They knew that going into this. The warning should have been that first game against Vietnam. So that's why I'm a little concerned, because I thought they would have really awakened to that warning. Mm-hmm. But, credit due where it should be given. Iraq put on one of the best performances I've seen in an AFC Asian Cup.
Hey, I was curious, man. I asked about that Costa Rica result at the World Cup, and I think this is a thing for Japan. This is the thing, I think.
This is different.
Similar, bro.
I think they got beat in this one. Costa Rica just got a little lucky. I think they got beat here. Iraq beat Japan.
Right, but it was still. I still think the factor of letting it happen,
okay,
I think, is really interesting about this Japanese team. And if it happens one more time, then I'm out on it.
One last thing though for Iraq, and I'm concerned because I want them to make a deep run. Ayman Hussein got injured at the end of the first half and he went out.
But how bad?
I don't know.
That's my question.
I don't know. And let's say he still can play in the next games. Is he only going to be able to give 30, 40 minutes, man? Like, that sucks because in both games, he has used his huge frame to bully defenders and get goals. It's been a huge component of how Iraq play offense. I think without Ayman Hussein, Iraq won't be as successful.
Oh, no.
Like, not even
they
close.
Need him, bro.
They need him.
He's been arguably the best player at the tournament so far. 3 goals in 2 matches already. He's been doing incredible. He is the offensive force for Iraq, and what a player, bro.
I hope he's okay, but I'm just a little scared for Iraq in that sense.
Ultimately, man, this was the game of the tournament for me, so finally I'd be able to give a really high rating, match ratings, where we rate each game based off of entertainment, quality of play, the fans, the atmosphere. For me, this was an 8.7. I'm going high 8s.
I'm going to go 8.3 on this one. 8.3.
Okay. Tough man.
Great game.
Okay.
Just second half, it was, and not much happened.
Right.